What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kings Court podcast presented to you by SacktownRoyalty.com. It's a part of the SB Nation Network and sponsored by RateCrushers.com. Everyone go to RateCrushers.com for all of your insurance needs. So it's been a couple days. Kings play tomorrow, December 3rd, their first game of the new month. But it's been a couple days since they found the switch to the beam. The Sacramento Kings take down Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers 137-114 in what was just a miraculous game by the Sacramento Kings. They played fantastic. A lot of very strong defensive possessions. Obviously, the offense was there to see 137 points in a game. You know the offense was going crazy. So I can't wait to talk about that, along with the conversation that my guest had with one Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. Jake Fischer of Yahoo Sports will be joining here on the Kings Court. I can't speak this morning. Will be joining me here on the Kings Court to discuss his conversation with the duo here, the Ox and the Fox. I'm excited for that conversation. But before that, like I said, it's been a couple days since we got to talk. And the Sacramento Kings put on a show playing against the Indiana Pacers just a couple nights ago on Wednesday night. Look, and all eyes were on that game, for sure. Who won the trade? Did the Kings really lose? And honestly, I still feel this, and I talked about it with James Boyd on the previous show right before that game happened, which is, I think this is just one of those rare trades where it makes sense on both sides. Finally, in the NBA, you can say that it made sense for both sides. Do you give the slight edge to the Pacers? Okay. Give the slight edge to the Pacers, right? A 20-year-old with the upside that is looking like a franchise player. I get that. Halliburton's nice. Coming in to the game against the Kings, I believe he was averaging 20 and 10, leading the league in assists. But you can tell this game had a lot of intensity. You can tell that this game had a lot of energy in it. It was a game in which, from the moment the game tipped off, from the second you saw the players enter the court, you knew that this game meant something a little bit more. The energy was high. The crowd was booming. And look, the Kings, they made it they made it clear that they wanted to make Tyrese feel uncomfortable. They wanted to make sure that they didn't give him any open looks. They wanted to make sure that he didn't find a way to start getting it going. And he never did. He never truly did. Tyrese Halliburton will finish the game with 25 minutes, 9 points, 4 rebounds, and 10 assists. He was 4 of 13 from the field, 1 for 6 from three-point range. And speaking of Tyrese, he spoke about how uncomfortable that defense was after the game. And I have that clip for you here.
Yeah, meant a lot. I've said multiple times what this place means to me, what these people mean to me. You see, there's a lot of people out here in my jersey, a lot of people showing my pops love and my mom love and my girl love, throughout the day, all around town. So, means a lot, man. Means a lot.
Ask him what the thoughts on the team if you guys can't really hear the questions.
Is that a setup? Is that a setup on my answer? Yeah, man. I mean, they're playing well. And people blew up over what I had to say about the culture of the Sacramento Kings before.
Talking about the JJ Redick podcast.
I don't know why, seeing as I think multiple players, that were here with me would say the same thing. That's why there's been coaching changes, GM changes, right? Like, I don't know why my words got blown out like that, but I can't control that. And no, man, they got guys that are I mean, Fox is here for the long haul. You know, he's trying to build something here. He's doing a really good job of that. Obviously, playing at the all-star level.
Fox is here for the long haul, baby.
You know, they got a good rookie coming in. I heard it was a big move this offseason. Their bench is really well put together. I mean, man, they're a good team, and they're trying to build something. And similar to us, we're just trying to get to the playoffs and, you know, trying to build every day. So they're doing a good job of that, and kudos to them. Yeah, I mean, I think it started with Davion in the first half.
It was definitely
Davion.
Davion.
I myself felt like I was getting fouled a little bit. I think that's what led to the frustration of Tech.
His first of the season.
You know, I think that kind of changed the momentum of the game right there. I got to be better there. You know, more composed through that. I felt like I should have went to the free throw line a little. I don't know if I went one time. Did I? Yeah, 0 free throws. I felt like I should have been there more. My technical foul, I was told that I approached him with too loud of a voice. I didn't cuss at him. I didn't say nothing to him. But he told me I approached him with too loud of a voice. So I guess I got to be better there. But it started with him.
He whispers.
You know, he's guarded me in college and here he did a good job. And they kind of just built from that in the second half. Had some really stupid turnovers, missed some shots, and they capitalized on that. So, you know, kudos now.
So that's Tyrese Halliburton after the game. And look, he was 100% honest. He was very transparent. It was Davion Mitchell who took the lead on the defensive end and took on, you know, the duties of guarding Tyrese. And on multiple occasions, you got to see Davion pick him up full court and defend him and make him feel so uncomfortable. And it was that full court pressure where Tyrese tries to drive to the basket. Davion puts his hands behind his back at one point when they're near the free throw line, readjusts his hips, drives down, puts his hands straight up, no foul call. Tyrese gets the tech for talking too loud. And this is how you know Tyrese is good at talking, and I said it when he did it, but he said I was talking too loud, so I got to kind of work on that a little bit. He lowers his voice. He's so good at talking. Give Tyrese a lot of credit. Applaud him for what he's doing, because, I mean, it was hard seeing him leave Sacramento for a lot of fans. I mean, I understand the frustration of wanting to see a player that can get you 10 assists on any given night, run a team the way that he does, and being the age that he is. He has all-star potential. I'm not willing to do the whole he's the Chris Paul thing that JJ Redick and a lot of these other ESPN people are doing. I'm not sure I'm ready to do something like that because I'm still not 100% sure you're saying that he's a number one option on a winning team. But while I say that, they do have a winning record. So I get how it's like a double-edged sword when I put that statement out there for me. But look, hey, that's my opinion. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong down in the comments section below. In just a few moments, I will have Jake Fischer of Yahoo Sports joining me here on the show to once again talk about the discussion that he had with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Shining a light for a King's brighter future is what he wrote. He's also the author of a book that's coming out that we're going to talk about as well. I'm talking about the tanking era. Excited to talk about that with him. All of that more coming up here real soon. I want to get some things out of the way. I will be giving away tickets here on this show as well. The game is going to be against the Los Angeles Lakers. Stay tuned. Figure out how we're going to give away those tickets. You guys are definitely going to want to be involved in that. That game is coming up very soon, so we will be giving away Lakers tickets here on this show at the Golden One Center. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned for that. We are going to figure out where our guest is going to be. He says he should be on in just a couple moments. Let me get some of the sponsor stuff out of the way. Once again, this show is brought to you by SB Nation Sacktown Royalty and sponsored by RateCrushers.com. At the end of this break, we are going to work on getting Jake Fischer here on the show from Yahoo Sports to talk about his conversation with Sabonis and Fox and what they're building here in Sacramento. And then on the latter half of that show, I'll talk to a lot of you guys, see if you guys want to join in on the conversation, as well as figuring out a way to give you guys these Lakers tickets that are coming up later in December. So stay tuned for that. Lakers tickets, light the beam, you know what I mean? Light the beam, because we didn't get to do it yet, you know what I mean? We knew it was going to happen. The Sacramento Kings are still above 500, sitting in 6th in the Western Conference. Give us 15 seconds for this commercial break and get ready for our guest to come right after this. And we're back. In just a moment here, Jake Fischer of Yahoo Sports will be joining us here on the Kings Court podcast. If you guys have any questions at all for the time that he's here on the show, go ahead and put them down in the comment section below. If this is your first time joining us here on this show, please do me a huge favor. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, become a member of the Kings Court podcast, Sac Kings Nation, SacTownRoyalty.com, a part of SB Nation. Excited for this conversation that we're about to have, because in the article, you know, it was great to see that in this article with that Jake Fischer and the conversation that he had with De'Aaron and Sabonis, you really got the sense of, you know, these two are kind of at a point in their lives where, and again, I'm going to talk about this more with Jake, but it just seemed like they're at a point in life where they're kind of running at the same speed. You know, De'Aaron's about to have his first child. They're both new husbands. They're still so young. They're trying to build something. Both one being an all-star that's kind of still an underwhelming all-star from most NBA perspectives in Sabonis, and one that is still trying to, you know, achieve becoming an all-star in De'Aaron Fox. And both having the mindset to want to win. De'Aaron wanting to be a true. He's always wanted to take on that I guess that badge of honor of saying, I took the Kings to Sacramento. And I think that's why so many people loved De'Aaron Fox while he was here. I also thought that's also why I drew a lot of confusion to why it was always Halliburton is always going to be over Fox for most fans when this trade did happen. So I'm excited to see what his thoughts are on the trade now after this game. And again, I think this is just one of those moments where after that game passed, I just felt like this was one of the rare times the trade made sense on both sides. It really did. It was great. It was a great game. I had a lot of fun with that game. I really did. To see Tyrese become that uncomfortable, and to see, you know, just the flow of the offense look so well. I mean, I get defensively they were strong. They still gave up 114 points. So they could have been better, right? So I'm not going to give them all the praise for their defense, even though they did make Tyrese get uncomfortable. But offensively, man, if you're not in this area and you watch the Kings on League Pass or something like that, they're a League Pass MVP. They're in every game. There's someone fun to watch, and look, perfect. So I got Jake coming in right now. See if I can set this on up. So he will be here in just a moment. Jake Fischer of Yahoo Sports joining us here on the show. If you haven't done this so already, do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button as well as hit that subscribe button. Join on in the comment section below. In just a few, after this conversation with Jake, we will be discussing the conversation that we have, everything that he says, your guys' thoughts on everything, as well as moving toward giving out the tickets. What in the world? Get that stuff up out of here. What is this? Ban that out of there. What is all this weird stuff that's popping up in the chat? That's that weirdness. I think it gets too quiet. I think I like the music on during the conversation until I actually get to have a conversation as well. Some weird stuff popping up in the chat, guys. I did not like that. That's some weird stuff. Banning that stuff up out of there. That's weird. So yeah, we're working on getting Jake put on in here. It says that he's connecting in. He should be in just a moment. Excited to have him on. Excited to talk about his article with Yahoo, Shining Lights, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, bringing in a brighter future to the Kings. I also recently just did an article for SacTownRoyalty.com. If you guys haven't done so already, go ahead and book SacTownRoyalty.com for all of your in-depth Sacramento Kings coverage. But I just talked about how there's so much praise out there for Mike Brown, and it's well-deserved. I think you have to give all the credit to the success of this team to Mike Brown. Yes, I get it that the players are the ones that are out there playing, but away from acquiring, Sabonis in that trade. I mean, they had Sabonis last year, so away from just Monk, Murray, and Herter, the Kings team is essentially the same as it was in February of last year. It's the same team. Well, look how well they're playing. I said it in the article. I was like, look, so many coaches in the past, since Fox has been drafted, has tried to bring in this game plan, right? This offensive scheme of space and pace. When you have a Ferrari, just let it roll out, right? That's always been the mindset of this team. But there's one thing that they have never been able to do, and that's run a half-court set and still have any sense of stability. And I think Mike Brown definitely brought that. You can go read about my thoughts on that, the conversations that people are having about Mike Brown and the Kings, and why he deserves all the credit for the success of this team. If it's not Mike Brown, who do you guys give the credit to? Do you give it to De'Aaron Fox for taking that next step in his career, being able to knock down three-point shots? Do you give it to Sabonis to be able because of the way he plays, being just that Swiss Army knife and taking on that role of actually being a center instead of a power forward and embracing his role as arguably a Robin to De'Aaron Fox's Batman? Who do you give the credit to? Because for me, I think it's a clear answer. I think it's Coach Mike Brown. And I think there's also a good chance that Coach Mike Brown is a true contender for early Coach of the Year. Again, we were working to get Jake Fischer on from Yahoo Sports. He should be on in just a moment. But look, man, I'm very excited to talk to him about this because his article, he really got to talk to these guys about what the lives that they're building out here. And it seems like they're trying to both build like a foundation with their families out here. And I loved it, There's one line, though. It says, the Kings' fate boils down to Fox and Sabonis functioning as opposite charges of a powerful battery. And there was another article, I believe it came out on Bleacher Report, that says the Kings' season's only a success and the Sabonis trade is only a success if the Kings break the drought this season. And I don't know if that's true. I mean, the West is the most stacked out of all the conferences. I mean, the Heat have kind of died out. I think the Wizards are just an in-between team. So, I mean, the Nets are such a huge question mark on any given night. You don't know what type of team you're going to get. I don't know if the Pacers are going to be able to sustain. Like, I get that Hield is knocking down shots, but I feel like they're going to be sellers at the trade deadline. Give it one more month and see where they are. You could say the same thing about the Kings. I get that. I just know that the Kings are in a more stacked Western Conference. Hold on, let's see what this says. It says AJ says he's. Let's see where it is at. Let's see. It says Jake is in. Let's find out. Let's go like this. I have my interview. Let's turn it back on. There it is. And we have him now live here on the show. Jake, can you hear me?
Hey, do you not see me?
I do see you.
What's going on?
Jake Fischer of Yahoo Sports joining us here.
I'm sorry, man.
What was
Let me let me close out of some tabs here because this is tough.
Oh no, I mean it's okay. It's clearing out a little bit here, but Jake Fischer of Yahoo Sports, author of Built to Lose: How the NBA's Tanking Era Changed the League Forever. Welcome to the Kings Court, man. Welcome, and thank you for making your Kings Court debut. I appreciate having you on.
You got it, man. Sorry for the difficulties in making it happen, but glad to be here.
Hey, I just appreciate having you on, man, because you recently wrote an article with an interview with both De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, and honestly, I've read it through it twice, and I just feel like they are really And I just said it just a few moments ago. Like when I got done reading your article, it just felt like the two are just in sync in terms of where they are in their lives and why this pairing just makes sense. But after your conversation with both of them, what was your biggest takeaway?
That was kind of my hypothesis going into it, right? I think ultimately, before I try to sit down with the actual subject of a story, I try to talk to as many people as I can who I know, who are around them, or at least know them a little bit to try to get a better sense of what to ask them. Because you only get sometimes 10, 15 minutes with a person before it's kind of your task to tell their life story to the world, which is a little bit absurd. So
Yeah.
I feel like you really need to kind of come in there with like a fine tooth comb, if you will. So I kind of had that sense going into it. I was surprised at how sometimes when you kind of have this idea of a general topic you want to talk about, sometimes the players are like, yeah, I guess, or they don't really even agree with you sometimes. So when you start having those conversations and they're really on board and they complete that you have read the room right, that is how they're going about their business and what they're experiencing, it can be a pretty cool conversation. Yeah.
When when you were listening to Domantas speak and talking about Sacramento and finding a place, to just kind of relax a little bit after games, did it kind of seem like he was, planting a flag here in Sacramento? Like this is going to be a place where he's going to want to re-sign and stay?
I do think so. I mean, he's obviously, approaching free agency. It's not something that I think's on the immediate radar of the NBA, but like it is a thing I'm sure Kings fans are very much well aware of and are hoping that will not become an issue. And look, I do think, to your point, that as long as they continue on this trajectory, as long as I mean, these guys want to win. They said it up and down the piece. They said it. I mean, everyone here wants to win. And the truth of the matter is if they don't make at least a play-in appearance, there could be some wholesale changes to a lot of the infrastructure of this team, right? So who's to say how long Domas would even get the opportunity to plant his flag, in his own right? But I think clearly why I wanted to go to SAC, why I wrote the story, why where they are, they seem to really be on that trajectory. The offense is very, very real, and um, I think, I mean, everyone I've spoken to from rival teams about the Kings have all echoed the same thing, that this offense is dangerous, it's scary, and for that they're going to be a playoff team, or they're at least when healthy and how they're moving, they are a playoff team, and they're going to be, I think, for the coming years, as long as they continue to have Kevin Herter and Keegan Murray develop into like a rounded out core around that duo. And I do think Domas will be very amenable to making Sacramento his long term home. And I think he wants it to be. It seems like that's everyone's goal here.
So, like, this is a big thing for me when you're talking with these players because, like, with Fox, he's been here for a few years, right? He got drafted by the Sacramento Kings in like 2017, so he's been able to feel and get the sense of the cloud that is hanging over the franchise of that 16-year playoff drought. Sabonis has only got traded here in February. You have Herter, you have Monk, and all these other guys that came from separate teams. Do they still feel the pressure of what I think Sacramento fans put on the franchise about breaking this 16-year drought? Or do you feel like they're having a breath of fresh air because of Coach Mike Brown and what they brought in, and just because the offense is playing so well?
Yeah, I don't think it's pressure. I think it's an excitement. I think they see a mountaintop that hasn't really been mounted in a while or summited in a while, and they want to be the ones to do it. And I think that was a big part of De'Aaron Fox's free agency pitch to Malik Monk as they were trying to recruit him away from the Lakers, because Monk did want to go back. He had
Yeah.
interest there. But Sac obviously had a lot more money to spend than his teammate from Kentucky. But one thing that really pushed the needle, I believe, is you know Fox selling Monk on this chance to be the ones to light the beam. And I mean, they didn't know about the beam at that point, but to be the ones who could move this team into a playoff picture that they haven't seen in over a decade, right? So I think it's not pressure on the players and the coaches that are in this fun new year. Um, I think the traveling party, the people who are sitting on the court game night, I think they're just having a blast.
Jake, you said light the beam. Let me bring us to the beam real quick. Let's bring us to the beam real quick. You know what I mean? Like, I'll put us right there just so everyone can see that thing. You know what I mean? Let's put
It's
the
great.
beam out there with all of us. Uh, while I have this
Amazing.
little bit
It
of
really is. It really is.
yeah, the beam team is fun, man. I think it's awesome that they're trademarking it. I think it's just such a it feels more like a college vibe as well when you're seeing them light it and the excitement
Yeah.
that fans get. It just feels like a college atmosphere. While I do have time with you as well, the built to lose, how the NBA's tanking era changed the league forever. You're starting to see teams starting to be in that in between stage of what direction are they going to go in. Tell me, what made you want to write this book? Tell me all about this book. Tell me what made you go ahead and go become an author. You know what I mean? This is a lot.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I was coming up as a reporter and a writer at Liberty Ballers, at SB Nation, and Slam Magazine as well. But I was at LB for the majority, I mean, pretty much the entirety of Sam Hinkie's tenure covering or running the Sixers. And I was in Boston at school at Northeastern um, at that time while I was blogging about, but I'm from Philly originally. So I was also up close and personal with the Celtics trading Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce the same night on draft night that the Sixers traded Drew Holiday for an injured Nerlens Noel in that 2013 draft. So then I just kind of kept peeling back the layer more, and the Kings become very involved, right? Where they're in the same draft that the Sixers got Evan Turner, who was like their last failed, tanking hopeful prince that would be promised and take us there, right? Same draft as DeMarcus Cousins going to Philly or going to Sacramento, excuse me. And I have a fun story in there that like Doug Collins, the Sixers head coach, is basically the reason why DeMarcus didn't go too. Like a little fun fact there for some Kings fans. There's a ton of stuff like that in the book. So it was fun to kind of take a razor and like a magnifying glass to recent history because the stuff didn't happen that long ago, and we're still within we're within 10 years of a lot of the stuff that occurred, but some stuff longer. And I think that also allowed some people to be more candid than they would have been or would be in the moment. So I've got some really cool material and stories and information from people on the record putting their names on stuff, which doesn't really happen, in our day to day
Yeah, I think
media
that
landscape.
that's crazy. I thought that the tanking era became so insane, like you said, when the Sixers really said that we're tanking. They were just so outright and honest about it. Like, we're not here to win games. And there were even moments at times where you're watching games and they'd be up and then they do automatic subs to see them go down. So I found that to be very, very interesting. I'm excited to check that book on out. So I bought that on Amazon yesterday when I found out we were gonna
Thank
get
you,
the
man.
yeah. So
Appreciate you.
yeah,
Appreciate
I'm
you.
excited. I'm excited to take that for a read. Couple more questions here on the Kings while I have you. Do you think that they're gonna make the playoffs?
I do. I think the numbers show it. I just saw a metric today, I believe, from Kirk Goldsberry that they've been 16th in defense over the last 5 or 10 games. I can't remember the sample size, but clearly that's an improvement from 27th or wherever it was back that week during the winning streak that I was there in town for. But their defense was still struggling. So if that can continue to progress and the offense stays at top 5 levels, which I do believe, and everyone I've talked to believes as well that is sustainable with the juice this team's playing with. Yeah, I think they're going to at least make. I think they're going to at least make the plan. But I mean, you get too close to a story when you start spending time around these people because you want them to be winning because then they're in a good mood when they're talking to you, and you also want them to be winning to make the story worthwhile, right? So I'm a little biased for sure, but I think honestly, I really do think they've got the talent and the ability to get the 6th seed outright and evade the play-in picture altogether. But if they don't, I think also as I said to Minnesota Timberwolves people last year, and I said to some people with the Kings um, this month or last month, I think getting a 7 seed home game or 2 home games as the 7 seed to win into the playoffs around that crowd, I think would be a great experience. So getting into the play-in tournament, I also don't think is like a kiss of death or necessarily a bad thing. I think it was really cool for Minnesota, um, in front of that Target Center crowd to beat the Clippers in that playing game, and you got Patrick Beverly and everyone's celebrating like they won the championship. I
Yeah.
think that could be a very cool moment for a franchise like this. I think that would be way more worthwhile than just getting a 6 seed and winning a couple games. I think if you win that game and then you go into the playoffs and win a couple games, then you got some real momentum that you've seen.
The hype
Didn't
is
really work
real.
it didn't really work for Minnesota, but New Orleans fought their way into the 8 seed, and now they're, I think, a top 4 seed in the West right now. So I hope that Sacramento can have that opportunity as well.
I recently wrote an article that just came out this morning for SB Nation, giving Mike Brown all the credit for the success of this team this year. And I was just wondering, do you believe that that's the same? Do you have that same like sentiment that the reason for the success of this Kings team starts from Mike Brown?
I think very rarely can you give one person all of the credit. That's not to discredit what Mike Brown has done, but De'Aaron Fox has taken massive leaps as a shot maker, right?
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
Kevin Huerter and him being, he was leading the league in 3-point shooting to start. And Monte McNair, his front office, were the ones who put together Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, where the whole league, and I think it's funny, coaches and execs were kind of split. I think a lot of coaches around the league that I talked to liked the Sabonis trade for Sacramento. Pretty much every executive that I talked to across the board just killed Sacramento for making that deal, for giving up Halliburton. So, the Kings were always patting themselves on the back and like holding firm. Like, we believe in that those two guys would have been maximized together. Clearly, Tyrese Halliburton had more trade value than De'Aaron Fox, and that was made clear by Indiana that they were not going to make that deal without getting Halliburton back. And Domas, I think, has been fantastic and exactly what the Kings were hoping he would become or be as a partner for Fox. So I think it's been a collective effort. Mike Brown deserves a lot for sure, but it's been a lot of pieces coming together.
Yeah, the reason why I give all the credit to Mike Brown is because he just brought that voice of stability that just hasn't been there, been here in Sacramento in such a long time. And it was from the moment he came into that introductory press conference where he just said, I want people to have values, I want to build trust, and I want to create goals for every single one of them. So I just thought that presence that he had was what made him get all the credit in my mind. You took the last question that I had from you, which was, who do you think won the trade, the Pacers or the Kings, after seeing the Kings win 137 to 114?
I think it's a win-win. That's how all trades should be, honestly.
Yeah,
I think
it's the
a lot of
rare time.
deals don't get done because people are trying to win the trade. I think, in the landscape that we're in right now, there's become just as much of a competition between front offices as there has been between those lines on the court. And I think because of that, it's definitely changed how things operate from a transaction market. And to me, it's been for the better on the whole, but I think it's also sparked some. Like, I think a lot more trades don't get done that might have gotten done in a pre-Twitter era because there wouldn't have been an immediate grade reaction and blah blah blah. So I think people now are trying to always swindle the other team or get a good deal on the other team, or they're not budging on their asking price, and like, you're not getting my player if you don't meet my that type of stuff. So I think the fact that both sides got better, that's how a trade should be. Like, in the spirit of the league, I think, sure, like, it's a negotiation and that's competition in itself, and you need to be able to have your principles to not get swindled, but at the same time, like, just make a deal get done that benefits all parties. And I think more activity works, and then everyone improves. So I think, kudos to Sacramento and Indiana for finding a deal that was so polarizing like that, because to me, I think that shows exactly that the value of finding common ground to help both sides.
Jake Fischer of Yahoo Sports joined us here on the Kings Court. Thank you so much, brother, for joining us here on the show. I appreciate you so much. Great work. I cannot wait till I get my book. It's supposed to be here tomorrow, so in the morning. So I should be able to read that with a cup of coffee. So I'm excited to do that. One last one before I let you go. The Kings play tomorrow. Are they getting a win?
Yeah, go Kings.
Light the beam! Light the beam! Jake Fischer, man. Thank you so much, brother. You have a good one. Jake Fischer of Yahoo Sports joined us here on the Kings Court podcast, but right before the Kings play tomorrow. Like I said, he said light the beam. He said light the beam. Great content from there, man. I'm so happy that I got to talk to him. Look, he said that De'Aaron Fox it was probably a selling point to go get Malik Monk. Malik Monk wanted to go back to the Lakers. A big selling point he believes is that De'Aaron Fox said, let's climb this mountain. He said it's not a cloud of pressure over Sacramento. It's a sense of excitement to climb this mountain and achieve that goal. I mean, that's inspirational right there. Look, just talking about it getting me kind of hyped up a little bit more. This cup of coffee ain't doing it. That conversation did. If you guys haven't done so already, do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button. Go give Jake a follow at Jake L. Fischer on Twitter. You guys can see it right there. Big shout out to him. Thank you so much once again for joining me here on the show. This is the Kings Court podcast presented to you by SactownRoyalty.com, a part of SB Nation. Another great thing too, look, he's part of SB Nation. Got to create a book. Big thing. I just started with SB Nation. Who knows where the road can take me? I'm excited. If this is your first time joining the show, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. Now look, I know what you guys are waiting for. I know you guys are wondering how is he going to give away these tickets? I am giving away tickets. It is going to be for a Lakers game. This is happening, and this is how you do it. On Twitter, at VM Center. You have to do this on Twitter. You take this show. You're watching it on YouTube or iTunes, wherever you get it. You take the link to the show. Copy it. Say, listen to the Kings Court podcast. Post the link at Sacktown Royalty at VM Center. That name will get put into the drawing. Last time we did this drawing, there was only 20 people in it. By the way, also the last time we did this drawing, that's when this team went on a win streak. We're looking to build that same thing. So the game is going to be on December 21st against the Los Angeles Lakers. We're giving away tickets. How do you win those tickets? Once again, number one, take the link to the show, whether you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, or here live on YouTube. Take that link. You have to be going on Twitter. On the right side, you see it, at VM Center on Twitter. Say, go listen to the Kings Court podcast. Post the link at VM Center, at Sacktown Royalty on Twitter. You do that, your name gets posted. If you're doing this on Facebook, you guys can find me, Vince Miracle, hashtag the Kings Court, hashtag Sacktown Royalty. One of the two things. That's where I'm pulling from. Twitter, Facebook, that's how you get tickets. We're going to light that beam one more time, you know what I mean? Such a fun show today. We got to listen to Tyrese talk about the game. We got Jake Fischer making his Kings Court debut, bringing us inspirational stuff, you know what I mean? That was fun. Great conversation. It's the weekend, guys. It's Friday. I hope you guys all have an amazing weekend. Once again, we are giving out tickets to the Los Angeles Lakers game on December 21st. That's a Wednesday. You have time. I want more than 20 people in this raffle. How do you do it? Whether you're listening to the show live right now or you're listening to it on iTunes or Spotify or anything like that, you take the link of this show, copy it. iTunes, copy that link. Go on Twitter. Listen to the Kings Court. Post the link underneath it. At VM Center, right there on the bottom right. At Sacktown Royalty, right there at the left. If you're doing it on Facebook, listen to the Kings Court. Post the link. Hashtag the Kings Court. Hashtag Sacktown Royalty. I will see all of that stuff out there. You have to do it on Facebook or you have to do it on Twitter. If you know how to do it through Instagram, I can try and check it on there, but you got to screenshot the Kings Court podcast logo, which you can get on the top right. There's ways I'm trying to get you guys more involved. Let me know how that works out for you. You guys can always reach out to me personally through direct message there at VM Center. Once again, big shout out to Jake Fischer, man, of Yahoo Sports, for coming on. That was a great conversation. They don't view it as pressure. They view it as excitement for a mountain to climb to bring this Sacramento Kings team back into the playoffs. Domantas Sabonis seems like he's planting that flag here in Sacramento. And then to end the show, he talks about that trade, saying it's finally fair on both sides. And then, truly the best part, he said, light the beam. Kings are going to get a win on Saturday. It was a great conversation, man. Had a lot of fun. Shout out to every single one of you that joined us here live on the show. I appreciate every single one of you. Please do us a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button. Leave comments down in the comment section below. Guest names that you guys want me to try and go after to have on this show. Things that you want me to improve on this show. Certain topics that you want me to hit on this show. Let me know down in the comment section below. Do me a huge favor. Go to sacktownroyalty.com and check out my most recent article where it says Mike Brown deserves all the credit for this success. I know that Jay didn't really believe me on that because it is a lot of moving parts, but he did admit that Mike Brown is a key factor in that. And I think that's where, the focal point of my article is. It's just Mike Brown brought that sense of stability, and that's why I believe he deserves the credit. So you guys go check that out at sacktownroyalty.com. I've been your host today. My name is Vince Miracle. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms of @VMCenter. Once again, I appreciate every single one of you. And until next time, Sacramento Kings fans, bye-bye.